All right, let's dive straight into this explainer. We're looking at one of the internet's most captivating mysteries, how a certain animated sitcom seemingly predicts the future. You know the one. We've all seen those wild headlines and viral posts claiming The Simpsons has, like, an actual crystal ball. But today, we're going to unpack the real truth behind this massive global phenomenon using actual data and history straight from the source. We're starting right in the thick of it here. I mean, how on earth did scenes like the devastating 2025 Los Angeles wildfires, or that bizarre 2017 photo of Donald Trump and the Saudi king touching a glowing orb, appear in a cartoon years before they actually happened? As 2025 kicks off, aerial photos of those tragic LA fires look terrifyingly similar to an episode broadcast way back in September 2016. And that glowing globe photo? The internet absolutely insists the show drew it in 2002. So it raises a huge question. Are these astonishing visions of tomorrow, or is there a completely logical explanation just hiding in plain sight? Which brings us to our first section. Do the Simpsons actually see the future? Let's jump into section 2 and look at some true predictions of the past. We're going to review the historical hits. To really get the hype, we have to look at the undeniable historical hits that left audiences completely amazed. Their track record is just mind-blowing. We're talking about visualizing a cone-shaped London skyscraper 14 years before the Shard's construction even began, joking about Disney owning Fox 21 years early, and predicting a Trump presidency 16 years before it happened. Listen to this. In a 1995 episode, Lisa visits London, and right there, behind Big Ben, we see this very distinct, futuristic, cone-shaped building. Fast forward 14 years to 2009, and construction begins on the Shard in that exact spot, with that exact shape. Wild, right? Then in 1998, they showed a 20th Century Fox logo with the words Division of Walt Disney Co. written right beneath it. That was 21 years before the actual corporate acquisition. And of course, there's the infamous Year 2000 episode where Lisa becomes president and inherits a huge budget crisis from none other than President Trump, back when he was strictly a businessman with no real political momentum. But what's truly terrifying here is the sheer specificity of it all. Take a look at this. In a 1998 episode, they randomly put the name Bengt R. Holmstrom on a cartoon list of future Nobel Prize winners. And then he actually wins it in 2016. Lisa literally holds up a piece of paper on screen, and if you pause and look closely at the names, his is right there. Nailing a specific name like that almost 2 decades in advance, that is exactly why this legendary series, which by the way debuted way back in 1989, has gained this almost mystical reputation. Now, before we look at what might be their most mind-bending hit yet, we need to briefly define something called the God particle. Because, well, without it, planets, stars, and humans simply wouldn't exist. In physics, the Higgs boson, that's the scientific name for it, is what gives all other matter its weight. Without this particle, there's no mass, meaning no shining stars, no Earth, and definitely no us. It is quite literally a fundamental cornerstone of how our entire universe operates. Okay, so check this out. In a 1998 episode, Homer is writing this complex math equation on a chalkboard. For 14 years, that joke just sat there, entirely unnoticed. But when physicists finally discovered the Higgs boson in 2012, they were completely stunned to find that Homer's fictional scribble was mathematically hovering right around the actual, real-world mass of the particle. I mean, a cartoon character calculating the God particle, you can't make this stuff up. So, moving on to Section 3, Predictions for 2025. What exactly is next? If they could get the God particle and the Shard right, what do they have in store for us right now? Based on past episodes, folks online are expecting 2025 to bring some crazy things. A digital clock on Big Ben, a female US president, or perhaps an Ivanka 2028 announcement, prototype mind control devices kind of like Neuralink, America becoming a crypto capital, major fusion energy breakthroughs, and even 3D holographic phone calls. And honestly, think about it. Big Ben had renovations in 2022 where temporary digital displays were actually considered for special events. We saw Kamala Harris run for president recently, and while Donald Trump won the election and takes office in January 2025, the show specifically featured an Ivanka 2028 badge. So could an announcement happen this year? We've also got Elon Musk's Neuralink preparing a 2025 prototype that totally echoes a 2010 Mr. Burns mind control device episode. Add in Donald Trump's promise to make the U.S. a crypto capital, recent real-world lab successes in clean fusion energy, and tech giants pushing augmented reality. Suddenly, these old cartoon jokes are looking a whole lot like our current reality. With all these astonishing hits, you really have to ask yourself, is there some shadowy group of powerful people orchestrating world events behind the scenes through a cartoon? It's the ultimate conspiracy theory, right? People look at this massive mountain of evidence and just assume there has to be a secret agenda, like some sort of roadmap of the future being playfully teased to the masses by global elites. Which brings us to Section 4, Viral Lies and Rumors. It's time to separate fact from fiction. All right, reality check time, because we need to look impartially at these viral claims. The absolute crucial point here is that the famous video of Trump descending the escalator, it wasn't some psychic vision from the year 2000. The real event actually happened on June 16, 2015, and the cartoon spoof was posted weeks later, on July 7, 2015. The internet basically took this clip, slapped a totally fake year 2000 label on it, and it spread like wildfire. People believed it blindly, mostly because of the show's existing reputation. But in this case, the animators were simply parroting the news as it was actively happening. And you know what? Exactly the same thing happened with that burning globe photo from our introduction. Social media completely lied. They said the show predicted it in 2002, when in reality, the writers just drew a cartoon copy of a real 2017 news event. The actual photo features Donald Trump, King Salman, and the Egyptian president opening a center against extremism. So after that photo went viral in 2017, the animators drew a perfect recreation of it. But then, online tricksters repackaged the drawing, claimed it was from 15 years prior, and, well, the myth just grew even larger. Furthermore, sometimes life imitates art on purpose, strictly for attention, like when Lady Gaga deliberately recreated a 2012 cartoon scene of her flying in a silver dress during her actual 2017 concert, or when Miley Cyrus copied a 1994 Wrecking Ball joke. Let's be real, it's not exactly a psychic prediction if a megastar watches a famous cartoon and says, "Hey, I should totally do that in real life." Celebrities are smart. They know the cultural power of the show, and playing into its mythology is basically guaranteed to generate incredible media buzz. So let's head into our final section, Section 5, the real secret of predictions, the actual logical explanations. So for the predictions that actually genuinely came true, the biggest secret is just mathematics. I mean, with over 700 episodes since 1989, containing countless jokes and scenarios, the law of averages basically dictates that a handful of them are mathematically bound to happen by pure coincidence. Think of it like a giant puzzle, or throwing darts. If you throw thousands of darts at a dartboard over 30 years, a few of them are absolutely going to hit the bullseye. For every single thing they got right, there are tens of thousands of jokes that never came true at all. So instead of magic or crystal balls, they rely on a highly talented team of writers who just make really smart, educated guesses. They take current technology, like, say, 1990s cell phones, and logically exaggerate them into future video calls or smartwatches. These writers are avid consumers of news, politics, and science. They watch where tech is heading, and they just extrapolate. If you know global warming is happening, you write a joke about a glacier melting. Then, when it actually happens 20 years later, people call you a prophet. It's not sorcery, folks. It's just brilliant observation. Even that spooky prediction of the Shard building in London, yep, just a really good, educated guess. The writers knew the existing 1990 towers were outdated, they read news about a planned replacement, and they drew a futuristic cone shape that coincidentally matched the final design years later. The original Southwark towers were sitting on this prime piece of real estate, and the media was already buzzing about an iconic replacement. The writers literally just slapped a futuristic sci-fi cone on the skyline to be funny. The fact that the real architects ended up designing a remarkably similar cone, that's just a spectacular coincidence, born out of a very clever, very well-informed guess. By analyzing trends rather than reading crystal balls, it leaves us with one incredibly fascinating final thought. If their educated guesses are truly this good, which of today's cartoon jokes will become our reality tomorrow? They're looking at our world right now, finding the absolute most absurd trajectories of our current technology and politics, and putting them right on the screen. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. And remember, pay close attention to the jokes they're making today, because tomorrow we just might be